Welcome to Where There's a Wills, There's a Play. My name's Ian, and today I'm here with a quick review of Cascadia Rolling Hills. This is a new series we're going to do on some smaller games, focusing on a small game here. We were kind of trying to come up with a format with this, and we had some different sections we were going to do, and then we decided we would just take our last name and take the W off of it and come up with 5 W's for this. So this is the welcome, where we are just kind of quickly telling you about the game. Like I said, this is Cascadia Rolling Hills, and this is the roll and write version of Cascadia, one of the two. The other one is Rolling Rivers, which I've not had a chance yet to play. I do believe it is very similar as far as gameplay. It might just have some different sheets. And then we'll move on to the walkthrough real quick, and then the wins, the wonders, and the wrap up. So let's get down to the table for the walkthrough. All right, so here are all the components real quick. You have 4 different sheets of paper that you might play on. You have a tier 1 and a tier 2 deck of cards. You have your rule book, you have your dice. There's 4 large yellow kind of community dice, and then each person gets 2 of these smaller uh, brown dice that are screen printed on. They get one that has a bear on it and one that has the hawk salmon split on it. These have some of your main animal symbols, as well as a wild on one of them. This one gives you some abilities. This one allows you to choose from any 3 dice, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This one allows you to take 1 pine cone away from something you're doing. And then this one allows you to re-roll 1 or 2 of your personal dice up to 2 times. And then you have some completion cards. You have ones that will give you some bonuses, not bonuses, but they give you some things that you can do to offset the results or what you need to complete a card. And then you have the bonus ones, where if you do complete a card, you get a bonus. Have a little player aid card with a round summary and dice actions that you can do for converting or taking different things. And then you have your animal tracker of how many animals you have on your how many animals you've basically collected from the dice. So to play Cascadia Rolling Hills, you are going to take each one of these sets. You're going to take 1 out of each of the tier 1 things. So you have the 5 different habitats, and you're going to shuffle these up. You're going to do this real quickly. Not going to worry about how mixed they are. And you're going to do the same thing with the tier 2 for each habitat. And you're going to do the same thing there. And you are going to, not going to worry about too much about how much they're mixed. Then you are going to deal 4 of them out. And you are going to take some of these completion cards. They will be shuffled up into one deck. And if you get a brown one that you can see kind of is written on the bottom, that is going to go below the cards because that is a bonus after you complete the card. But if you get one of the blue ones that has the blue top, let me move this down a little bit here. If you get one that has a blue top, you are going to put that above because that is something that can kind of offset the price of getting your habitat. On your turn, you are going to roll your dice, roll the dice, and these are everybody's dice. So this is, I've only played this solo, and you're going to put them in you're just going to kind of see what dice you have. And you can see the tiers of these. Bears go above elk, then fox, then hawk, then salmon are the lowest tier. So I personally like to kind of separate them as much as I can into tiers. And what you are going to do is you're going to take 1 animal type and you're going to mark it on here. So I'm looking at this and I see elk. I have 2 elk. I have 3 foxes or 2 foxes, or I have 3 salmon or 3 hawks. Now those are it can get you a lot of animals. You start with 1 of each. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect animals so that you can basically get these habitats. So if I were to have 4 elks or 2 salmon, I could take this habitat and I would cross that off on here, and I would just keep track of how many I have. So you're trying to collect different animals so you can get the different habitats. That is the basic gameplay for Rolling Hills. You keep on going at the end of the round. If this one wasn't taken, you discard it. These all slide down like a conveyor belt, and you flip a new one, and you keep on doing that until you've gone through all 20 cards. Now, let's take a closer look at the different sheets that you might be scoring on. There are there are 4 different sheets. Let's zoom in here a little bit on this so you can get a closer look at what these are. So here is sheet A. Sheet A is the simplest of the 4 sheets. And basically what happens is when you complete a card, you are simply going to take this number here and you're going to write it in to the proper habitat. Scoring for this is how many points at the end of the game you have in that space. Same thing here. You get a little bonus. This allows you to mark another or get another animal. When you get down past this space in any one of the habitats, you get a bonus down here and you can choose what you want, from different animals to different number of pine cones to just strictly points. At the end of the game, you add up all your points here and you get 1 point for every 5 animals and pine cones combined that you have left. That is the simplest one for playing and scoring. Then we have 2 of them that are like a 2-star. This one is, I think, the easier of the two-star ones. And this one, when you complete a habitat card, you are simply going to outline that many different hexagons in that habitat type. At the end of the game, you're going to score points for how far you go. Now, if you were to outline something that has a habitat or an animal on it, you get that bonus. Down here, you have some habitat bonuses. And so you're going to get different bonuses as you go down. This right here allows you to mark off any habitat. And you see you have all of those there. If you get all of them in a row, you get an extra habitat, single habitat to outline, and you get some bonus points. When you get all the way to the bottom, you can choose one of these bonuses. So you also have these little diamond spaces in the middle here, right here. So if I were to outline these 4 sections, then this is a bonus I would get as well. If you ever get beyond the end, you have this extra little tracker down here that you can use to get some extra bonuses as well. At the end of the game, you add up the points you got, how far you got on each habitat. Then you add up how far you got in the spillover area, and then your bonus points you got for all these different bonuses, and then for how many habitats and sorry, not habitats, for how many animals and pine cones divided by 5 you have left. The other 2-star one is this one, and this one gets a little bit trickier. And what you're going to do with this one is when you get this is how many spaces you get to outline in that type of habitat. So you'll see here, you've got some mountain habitats, you got some forest, you got some plains, you've got some waterlands or marshes, you got some rivers, and there's some around the outside that kind of connect to those. So when you do those, when you completely surround something, you get that bonus as well. And that includes, let's say I were to outline these 6, that automatically is going to outline this, so I would get that extra bonus, which is the only way you can actually get some of these landscape or habitat bonuses here to mark over here. This one has some bonuses as well. When you outline a sun or a cloud, you can choose a bonus in each row. You have to, or in each column, you have to start on the left and move right in both of those. And then the landmarks is very similar to the B map, where you just start on the top and you make your way down and you get some bonuses. You also have this spillover area for their scoring. You score based on how many points you get in each habitat. And then you score for your spillover area here. And then any bonuses you get over here. And then once again, for every you add up the number of animals and the number of pine cones you have left, and you divide by 5. You add that up and get the points. And then the final map is the most difficult one. And this one, you have some different areas. So you can see you have your different habitats in here, and you have dark outlines. So what happens with this one, in order to fill this one in, is when I complete this card, I get to mark 2 animals. So notice there's an elk, 2 fox, and 2 hawks. So I get to mark any 2 that I want in that habitat type. So I've got a mountain here. I've got some mountains. I could put fox and fox. I could put fox and hawk. I could put elk and any one of them, however you want. When you completely fill in a section, so this is section number 5, you get a bonus over here. If you completely fill in a outline section here with one type of animal, you get some bonuses over here. And then over here, you've got some landmark bonuses. When you put when you put animals on both sides of this, you get that bonus. So this one also has a spillover area if you've completely filled in an entire um, habitat type. So depending on the number here is how many of these you get. Now you can't go over. So like even though I have a 2 here, I can't put 2 elk because it did not take 2 elk to fulfill this card. The higher number of cards are a little bit higher. So this is 4. So I've got 4 different animals I can choose from. I can put any 4 in where I want to do. This one is definitely the most difficult. I did not do very good on this one. I did not have a good strategy of just filling them in. I was trying to fill stuff in a little bit quicker. All right, back to the main screen here for the wins. So let's talk about some of the wins for this. The artwork. The artwork is great. It's by Best Sobel, so we expect good artwork from Best Sobel. Really good artwork on the different habitats. There's 3 different habitats at each tier, and so got good artwork there. The dice are a good quality dice. Dice, really good quality dice. They're wooden, and I like that these are screen printed on here, and they're not like stickers. So I do like that. I think the gameplay of this is very well done. Uh, I do like the fact that there are 4 different tiers of map or sheets that you can do. So if you're looking for something really, really light, you want something really quick, maybe play this one. You want something that's going to make you think a little bit more, use the D. The D sheet. You have a nice player card. There is a family mode as well, so I do like that. So overall, I think there are a lot of wins with this game. I do like the variability that you're going to get by dealing out only 2 of each 3 card into your pile. I like the fact that you have all of these different completion cards, so I think that's a win as well. So yeah, I do think this game has a lot of wins to it. Wonders. And I'm going to include in this Wonders, and we're going to start with this, the Rolling Hills Summits mini expansion that did come with the Kickstarter version and is available, I believe, for sale. While it did come with a couple of extra completion cards you can play solo, it does make me wonder why the rest of this is completely useless for solo play. Like, this is a lot of cards to include in expansion that you can't use solo. These summit gold cards can only be used in multiplayer. So it does make me wonder why you have a solo mode for a game and you don't have this much you have a whole bunch of stuff that you can't actually use. One of the other wonders, and this is just maybe just personal to me, or just kind of a personal wonder, but it is a little odd to me that there's 3 cards of each tier of each habitat. And you would think either all 3 would be the same or all 3 would be different, but 2 of them are the same and one of them is different art. So I kind of wonder, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you've got 3 cards, either make them all the same or all different. Don't make 2 the same and 1 different. I don't know if there's a reason for that. Maybe, I don't know, because I mean, yeah, so I just kind of wonder why with 3 cards there weren't all the same or all different, where instead of having 2 that are the same and 1 that's different. But that's kind of a personal wonder for me. A big one that I had is, I wonder why they did not include a very specific examples of how to use the habitat cards once you have completed them, especially for sheets C and D. I did have to go on Board Game Arena to look for examples of that. They do talk about how to use them, but they're not really clear the way they're worded. It would have been so much nicer for them to have a card and say, when you complete this card, this is what you do, and show an example of it. There is none of that. So here's like the sheet C. There's none of that. It doesn't even show the card anywhere on here on their explanations of the different maps. So that is a big wonder to me as to why you would not include how to actually use the cards on the maps. Now, sheet A is very easy. You just put the number in there. But like I said, once you get to sheet C and D, it gets a little more complicated in the fact that this one, because there's numbers on these maps, it was a little confusing as to, oh, is this number related to that? Oh no, that's how many things I outline. It just wasn't clear. And then it definitely wasn't clear on D either as to how many things I could put in and how I did them. Like, very easy. Could have put a card, said, you complete this. This is how you mark this on the map and shown an example. It wouldn't have taken up much more space. You could have taken one sheet for each just to make sure you were very clear. I did not think that that was very clear. It's like, it's just something I wonder when games don't put an example of exactly how to use a card. Um, Other than that, I didn't have very many wonders. It was fairly straightforward. I guess another win would be the different modes of it. You have your multiplayer, your solo, and then there's a family variant. And with the solo, it has scenarios like a lot of flat out games do. All right, moving into the wrap up. So overall, I do feel that this is a really good roll and write. Um, The Cascadia name on it is something that may help sell it because it's Cascadia. But I do kind of wonder, and this maybe should have went in the wonders, if it hurts the overall because you're not really getting the Cascadia feel like some other roll and write, flip and write, draft and writes of bigger box games actually do. You are still putting animals into habitats, which I like. I do feel like map or sheet C and D do the best of this. This one, you're um, highlighting the different habitats. This one, you're putting animals in different habitats, but you're putting more than one in a lot of the times, and you're outlining more than one. But I do feel like C and D do the best job of giving you kind of that Cascadia feel of regular Cascadia. Overall, those of you that follow the channel, I really like my action rights, flipping rights, rolling rights, drafting rights, whatever, and rights. And I do think this is a really good game. This is one that is going to be quick to get out, quick to set up, quick to play. And I like the variability. Maybe I just want something quick at night after I've had a really long day. And map A is going to play really, really quickly. And then I can keep it out and maybe play B, C, and D later. So yeah, so I do think this is a really good overall roll and write game. I like the concept of it. I like the different maps. So overall, I really did like this one. And if you like roll and writes, and you know that you're not going to get Cascadia, like that whole intertwined drafting thing, but you're still kind of drafting dice. Because depending on what animals come up, you're taking those to try and fulfill cards. So you still have that sort of feel of, okay, I need to do this with animals to score the elk or to score the hawks. You're doing it a little differently. You're scoring the habitats based on having enough of that animal. So you still kind of get that feel. As long as you don't go in this going, oh, this is Cascadia on paper. I think you're gonna really like this one if you like this type of game. If you like Andorites, which I do, and I really like this one, and I'm excited to get Cascadia Rolling Rivers to the table because I do believe it's going to be just as fun, and I'm excited to see what the sheets look like there, and I think the dice are a little bit different, and you can combine these two as well. So overall, I do enjoy this one. That is Cascadia Rolling Hills. Let me know in the comments if you've played either of the Cascadia Rolling series and what you think about it. What you think about it just as a roll and write on its own, and also what you think of it compared to Cascadia and how you feel the Cascadia name on it, you know, hits or misses for the game versus the roll and write versus the base game. Yeah, so that is all. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills, There's a Play. See you next time at the table.